Every leader has faced that moment, the one where every eye is on you, time is running out, and there is no perfect answer. The tough decisions that you make as a leader will define your legacy, not the easy wins. Let me tell you about one of the decisions I made as a leader that didn't go as planned, and it taught me a lot about leadership and how making tough decisions are a crucial part of being a leader. How's it going, everybody? I'm Joe, and I've been leading in the military for nearly 20 years at the senior executive level. I've led teams of 20, 50, and even an organization that spans more than 100,000 square miles. I teach frontline leaders every day as part of my job, and I'm imparting those lessons to you on this channel. If you haven't done yet, it really helped me out if you'd hit that subscribe button. Now let's get after today's video. Picture this. I was a command senior chief on my first tour into the command program. Me and my captain, we were underway on a littoral combat ship doing trials and inspections. And we were running firefighting drills late into the night, and we kept having to rerun them because of minor things that our crew wasn't doing together. We were out on the deck plate, telling them what to do, helping them get better and stay focused. Then the captain and I had a decision. Do we keep trying to run to pass the drill so we could pull in the next day? Or do we let the crew go to sleep so that way they'd be rested and we could kick it off tomorrow? It was a tough decision. On one hand, we could pull in early if we won and we passed that inspection. On the other hand, our crew was tired, we had been doing it all day, and so we had fatigue, watch standing, and safety to take into consideration. Ultimately, we decided to try one more time to see if we could pass. Guess what? It didn't work out. We didn't pass the drill. So we had to go tell the crew. The captain and I took ownership of putting the crew in a tough spot, and that was on us. But it was still our responsibility to make that tough decision and then empower them and hype them up to be ready to get after it the next day. And that's exactly what we did. That cemented in my mind what I had already known, that leaders have to make tough decisions, and they don't always work out, but you have to make them anyway. That's part of the job. So what made this decision so hard? We had to balance the mission success, the thought and the morale booster of being able to pull in early and see our families, with the fatigue and the morale of our team, all without knowing what the outcome would be. And that's tough. Even with your best intentions and your best efforts, it's not always going to play out how you like as a leader, but you have to make those decisions. That's what we get paid for. Here are some core lessons that I've learned about tough decisions over the last 20 years. First up, don't wait for perfect information. If you wait for every detail to be laying flat, especially when it comes to war fighting and military operations, then you're going to be behind the power curve, and you could be waiting forever for the information that may never arrive. I've talked about this in other videos, but I use the 80% rule. When I have 80% of the information, I act. I take action as a leader and I make the decision. I don't wait for the other 20% information. In my experience, that last 20% information tends to lag behind and slow down the problem. So I stick with 80% and then I act. The next thing I do when I have to make a tough decision is I include my core leadership team. In the Navy, this was my department heads and my department chiefs. I got them together when we needed to make a tough decision for the entire organization. And we talked about it, and I got their perspective before ultimately me and the captain would make that decision. Including them gave us clear, concise perspective that we might have missed if we hadn't taken them into account. This is important when you have time to gather perspectives on how a decision might affect your people or the organization. As leaders, we can make strong, right decisions most of the time. But when we take into account what other people are thinking and we invite them into the process, that does two things. It gives us clarity that we may have not had, and it also gets immediate buy-in because those core leaders were part of the decision-making process. Lastly is trust yourself. You are in a position of leadership because you have your ability to do just that. Lead. You've made smaller decisions before, maybe not on the scale that you are now, but trust your gut. You're smart, you're talented, you can make the right decision. Remember, get perspective, get 80% of the information, trust yourself, and then act. Making tough decisions isn't about being right. It's about taking responsibility. If you make a tough decision and you make that choice, you have to own the outcome, whether it's good or bad. If it goes bad, it's always my fault as the leader. If it goes right, I give that credit down to my team. That builds trust and confidence in me and you as a leader. Just like my scenario, when it didn't go right, me and the captain, we went in front of the crew and we owned that outcome. But the crew saw that we trusted them as leaders. So when we went and fought that fire drill the next day, we absolutely crushed it. And that was amazing to watch. When in doubt, gather your team, get 80% of the information, and then make that decision and then own that outcome. That's leadership. If you found this helpful, do me a favor, share this with a leader who's facing tough decisions and needs some guidance and clarity to help them make those decisions right now. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more leadership lessons that I drop every single Friday. Appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.